This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, good morning, all.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Morning, very good morning. So I see Kiran, Mainu, Monisha, Pratibha, Rajeshwari, Ram, Ramesh, Ravi Kumar, Riaz, Sai. So what is the software world technologies? Soft world technologies. Okay, Vardhan. Fine. So let me share my screen and we'll start. My screen is visible to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So today, uh, very first thing we'll learn the what is DevOps. Like hope we covered most of the things in the demo part, but still we'll start with a definition. Then we'll learn about the life cycle of DevOps. Okay, you can say life cycle of DevOps, or you can say like pillars of DevOps. Okay, so before, okay, fine. Okay, then if time persists, we'll move into the operating system part. Okay, where We'll first cover like what is a data center, okay. Then move on to the physical server, okay. Then what is the virtual server, okay. Then move, then we'll jump into some basics of Linux commands, okay. So fine. So let's move on, right? So what is DevOps, right? So what is this DevOps? So we have seen in the last class like DevOps has two keywords, right? One is dev, or you can say development, or you can put it as a developer, okay, a team or individual person. And second thing, operations and okay, an operational guy, okay, operational engineer, okay, or you can simply put as DevOps slash cloud engineer. Just a moment. Hey, sorry. So let's find, okay. So these are the two keywords which are involved in DevOps, where a development team or an operational team, or we can say an individual developer or a DevOps or cloud engineer. Okay. So now, okay. So what is DevOps, right? So DevOps is a process, okay, or we can say it's a practice, practice of development or operations, right? So DevOps is a process or practice of development or operations, okay, where engineers, okay, where engineers work on proper life cycle, okay, engineers work on proper life cycle for building a building any product. Okay, simple definition, I'll keep it. So DevOps is a process, practice, or you can say it's a culture, right? It's a culture of development and operations where engineers work together, okay, work on proper life cycle for building any product, okay. So with, I would say with proper, put it down, proper collaboration, okay. So very first, this is basic definition of a DevOps, right? So in adding to this, okay, right from the development, or I would say right from the design design till the delivery of the product, okay. So the definition keeps increasing, but the idea behind that is why this DevOps came, because previously what was the history we had here? History was build and release, right? So before DevOps, there should be something. Whenever a product is launched, there should be something which has been still used in the previous. So there was a build and release, right? So problem here was there was no proper collaboration. between the dev and ops, right? So there is where we had few challenges. We had few challenges which we saw with some live examples in our demo, right? So where we spoke about like how a product is built and how it is released to a customer, and what challenges customer is to face, and how how we saw like customer came back and told that this is what the problem I'm getting. But the same thing, if they have tested initially and released in the market, they would have a good name in the market, right? Good feedback from the customer, and the work would reduce, also the quality would build very good in the initial stage itself before it goes to the customer, right? That is was the history where we saw about the build and release, where product was built and it was dealt because there was no proper collaboration between the teams, right? So this is a basic, very basic of a DevOps definition, right? If someone asks you what is your understand about DevOps, right? So this is what a simple definition or understanding we can provide them. Okay, I just hop it here. If anyone has any doubts, I can take up here, or I can proceed with the life cycle part. Anyone have anything? Okay, I take it as no, and I'll be proceeding from here. Okay, so very first thing, what is a life cycle, right? What is this life cycle? In life cycle, right?
Excuse
So
me, sir. Here.
yes.
So coming to this DevOps, right? Suppose if he's a
Okay.
DevOps engineer, what are his roles
Okay.
and responsibilities, sir?
So Ravi, did you attend the demo session?
No, this is my first session.
Okay, this is your first session, right? Okay, fine. Okay. So roles and responsibilities. Okay. So roles and responsibilities. Basically, a DevOps engineer. Okay. So basically, we are completely on the operation side, right? So what we do is like we manage all infrastructure. Okay, infrastructure in a sense complete cloud operations. Okay, as well, and open source tools. So this open source tool includes the DevOps tools, right? So all your DevOps related tools, so we manage. So basically the roles and responsibility here is to make sure all these tools are installed, configured, and properly integrated one with one system to other system. So your major role of a DevOps engineer here would be, right, upgrading the systems, then installing all the tools, configuring all the tools, okay, explaining to different teams and providing them a proper support as well as a proper explanation to collaborate with them to build that product, or along work with their, like if you're working with a developer, simple, right? So developer requires one or two tools, so you are the person who should provide these tools properly with proper knowledge to him. It's not only just installing a tool and handing out it. It's not that, because developer doesn't have a knowledge on these tools. So at least a basic tool, if a developer wants to use, you should be able to explain him that this is how this tool works and these are the basic feature which you can use. Further he can explore. At least you should give him a start that this is how you can use a tool, this is how things will fulfill it, right? So that is the one thing. Okay, second thing
Okay.
is about maintaining this cloud operation. Like if nowadays it's become mandatory for a DevOps profile to have any of the cloud. Okay, so basic cloud operation you should know, because everything is launched on cloud nowadays, right? People are moving to the clouds, so you should be able to handle the complete infrastructure, right? How do you launch a VM, how do you manage your VPCs, how do you maintain a load balancers, right? So how do you monitor, how do you keep your logs properly, how do you monitor your applications? So these are all the roles and responsibility, right? Because each and every team, okay, each and every team is dependent on you. Okay, teams are dependent on DevOps now.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So teams are dependent on DevOps, where you you are the one team which will be speaking to many different teams like QA team, a Java development team, right? Or if there's a .NET development team, you'll be visiting them. If there is a front end team like who works on this HTML, CSS, and develop the web pages, right? Then there is a QA team. Then there is a DS team, data science team, data engineering team. Okay, so these teams all require infrastructure because they have to uh, work on their own tools, or they might require some workspace, right? So there is where these complete teams are dependent on DevOps. So our roles and responsibilities are in two phases. One is a non-production way and one production way. So non-production will be doing all R&Ds, okay, all research and development of this all these tools, installation, configuration, understanding, and explaining this to the developments and different teams. And second is production deployments. Okay, we are also responsible for production deployments where we completely automate with the Ansible, and we start deploying that in the production environments. Oh, okay. Also, if we have any hybrid setups like Kubernetes environments or containerization, so that
Mm.
also we will manage. So our roles and responsibilities little bit broader. Okay, also
Okay.
very important in a industry. Okay, hope that clears, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thanks. So let's move, right, let's move to the life cycle of a DevOps. Okay, so what are these life cycles, right? What are this life cycle, what are these pillars? So so to run this complete DevOps process, we require some life cycles. Okay, so there should be something called continuous. Okay, there should be something called continuous planning. Okay, then there is something called, okay, continuous code and build. Okay, the reason I'm stretching here because this is a basic understanding a purpose a person should have when a person is switching from one technology to other, or a person is newly to this DevOps, right? Because whenever you go to an interview nowadays, people already know that most of the people are moving from DevOps. And what is happening? They know that people will learn the subject, but they will not understand, have a proper understanding of DevOps, right? So, very first question would be this only: what is your understanding about DevOps? What do you understand, and why do you require this DevOps? Why only DevOps, right? Why did DevOps came into industry? What's the major impact if you don't use DevOps, right? So this is where this simple definition, the history, the build and release, right? This things will come out. So we need to explain them what exactly this DevOps stands for, okay, and how we fit, okay, how the industry fits in this DevOps, okay. So then we have continuous testing, okay. Then we have continuous integration, okay. Then we have continuous feedback, okay. Then we have continuous monitoring. Okay, so if you want to make a note you can make, but I'll be sharing this running notes to you along with the documents. Okay, so fine, I'll be sharing you some content of this part. Okay, but I'll be sharing this running notes. So fine, let's move, right? What is this continuous planning? What is this continuous planning, right? So what does this continuous planning mean? So basically this is a requirement, right? Requirement gathering phase. So here what is this requirement gathering? Okay, so so basically here what is that, like continuous planning is something when they design something. Okay, this planning is done by, okay, okay, this planning is done by product team, okay, and it is assigned to engineer, okay, via tickets. Okay, any tickets, it can be in any tickets, right? It can be assigned in any tickets form. It can be there be like Jira is a ticketing tool, right? Or it can be some service now. Okay, now, or it can be some rally, right? Etc. ticketing tools you have, right? So these tools are basically what assigned, these tools basically are what are done via this continuous planning, right? So this continuous planning is something a requirement gathering phase, so where like planning is done by a product team. So what is this product team? So none of the engineer goes and speak to directly to any customer. Okay, so there is a proper team, like we have like a product team. Okay, we have like 4 teams, right? Very important teams what we have in a company. If you go, one is a product team. Okay, second is your, you can call this product, or you can call it as a business. Okay, people, some call it as a business, some call it as business intelligence team, right? Then you have, okay, development team. Okay, okay, then you have the operations team, or this is what we call it DevOps team, right? And finally, okay, these are the three teams. Okay, fine. Operations, DevOps, development, and HR, and everything is fine. That is a main team. Okay, so this business team, right, who does this planning and everything, right? So our tickets are assigned via this productive business teams. This team, what it does, it is a team which interacts with clients. Okay, whichever client comes to a company, right, or customers who come to a company. Okay, so this team interacts with the client and gets the requirement. Okay, gets the requirement, that what exactly is the requirement. Okay, so what exactly is the requirement? Do you want a web page? Do you want a backend? Do you want it, which database you want? Okay, how many users are going to be using this application, etc. things, right? All this. So simple, if I take an Amazon website, right? If you want to build an Amazon website, you need to build a front end of that page, you need to maintain a database, you need to maintain a cloud. Okay, if 100 users are going to log in, then what is the performance issues? Okay, so all these things are comes under this requirement gathering phase, right? Then there is a development team. Okay, this team, again, this team can be a Java development team. Okay, or it can be some I would say like web development team. Okay, your front end pages. Okay, Java is your backend, and also like database engineers would here, right? Database engineers also fall under the development part. Okay, then finally comes your operation teams, like we have a DevOps engineers. Okay, then you have your Linux admins. Okay, or your cloud admins. Okay, or your engineers, you can call them, or engineers, right? So these are like three different things, right? Which we have an industry, very basic, very basic. That might be segregate. Agar this development teams can further segregate, right? If you want to, if the team has some data science team or data engineering team, or you have some uh, QA also falls under development team only. This quality analyst, right? So because these people write the degradation automation tools and everything, right? JavaScripting and everything, functional test cases. So okay, fine. So let's move. Let's move. Right. These are the three teams which mainly uh, requires an industry for building any product, right? Then we have okay, then we have the continuous code and build. What is this continuous code and build, right? So a development, uh, whenever you're doing a code and build, so a proper source code management should be available. Okay, available. Okay, for storing the code and running the daily basis. Okay, so so code and build is nothing but every day. A product is not built in one day, right? It doesn't mean that one day a requirement comes, a product is built. No, the product is defined into a sprints, something called, okay, when they plan this one, they do a sprint planning. Okay, this is very important. Sprint planning, okay, minimum like 2 weeks. They do some 2 weeks of sprint planning where they assign properly tickets, right? Proper tickets. So here, every day, you developer writing some code, he will be storing in some a tool called GitHub, okay, or if he has some clear case, SVN, etc. things, and we will be building that jobs via the Jenkins, right? We will be building the jobs via Jenkins. So every day, there is a build, every day there is some coding done, okay, and that will be, that is a process, right? That will be process, and that will be deployed or tested or integrated, anything, right? So this is the second thing, code and build. Every day they will be doing some source code management, okay, source code management, and they'll be writing some code and they'll be building, okay, they'll be building, okay. So for third one, right? What is this deployment? I told deployment is, here it looks a very big word, but in simple words, deployment is nothing but, right? Simple. If you have a router, if you have a Airtel or Geo router, and what you're doing, right? You are just what you're saying, you're deploying that when you're giving a proper connection, right? You're giving a proper electricity connection, and you're starting that, when you're starting that router, and the router comes up, right? So that is nothing but a simple deployment. Deployment is a keyword. Deployment is nothing but you're taking a product and deploying in some location, right? You're taking a product and deploying in some location. That is nothing but a deployment. So when you do a deployment, that product starts launching, the product starts launching, right? That is nothing but your deployment. Simple terms is not like deploy something, you're deploying into some location, and that product starts functioning, that is nothing but your deployment, right? So what is this continuous deployment? So what means this continuous deployment, right? Okay, deploy every product, deploy, okay, deploy every product for proper, okay, proper functionality, okay. Or we can put that in a different way as well. Okay, let me keep it simple because there is one differentiation which I need to tell you. Okay, fine. So testing, what is this testing, right? What is this continuous testing? So this is again, testing is nothing but, what does this testing has very important in DevOps, because whenever you build a product, that testing has to happen, that regression testing, that the QA team, whatever the testing they do, right? That is very important. And for that we have different tools which industry demands today, okay, in terms of security as well as in terms of human errors, because the product is very large and testing is important nowadays. So proper testing, again, proper testing for checking the functionality of any product. Okay, so this is the proper testing for checking any functional testing. So what here they will do, right? What kind
So,
of a testing
Sagar,
they will
here
do
I
here?
had doubt. Yes,
Sorry.
Sagar.
Yeah,
Like this testing will be done by QA team or from operational team only, like the team members are doing this.
two things here, two things it will be done. So in this testing, right, there are two things from operation teams, okay, operation teams and QA team, okay. So I'm just coming to that point only. So operation teams, what it does is there's something called a basic sanity. So what this basic sanity is done because the complete build is run by me, the complete deployment is run by operation team. So when we hand over this complete thing to the QA team, before that we do a proper sanity. Let's suppose we deployed, okay, we deployed an website, right? We deployed a website. So now website is up, right? So what a basic thing I will do it, right? Operation team, what it does, he will check the logins, he will check the logouts, okay? Then what he will check, he will check uh, whether this complete server, right? In the servers you have space, proper space, CPU, memory, right? Okay, space or like CPU, memory and everything, right? So all the infrastructure side, whatever falls, I will say. And what are the basic a product, let's suppose login logouts, and whether all the services are running in my servers properly or not, right? CPU, memory, infrastructure way. So all this basic sanity, okay, I will check. And then I will hand over this to the QA team. Now QA team, what you will do, they will have their own tools, right? They will have their regression, they will start this regression testing via some tools. Or what they'll do, they'll be running some functional test, okay, they'll be doing some functional test, okay. Then okay, they'll be doing some performance test, right? How slow the application is there, okay. Then be doing some load test. What if there is a lot of load in the application, okay? So this load test, so all these tests will be done by QA team. So QA team will be doing some advanced level of testing, and the basic level of testing we will be do. Let's suppose the application is launched, right? How many pages are opening, how many pages are not opening, right? Behind me, how many servers are running, so all the servers are proper CPU, memory or not, okay? All my process, all my tools are running fine or not, right? All this testing is done via this part, okay. Okay, via this part. So here also like uh, we will be running this sonar cubes, right, for this scanning, okay. So we'll be running this sonar cube for scanning the vulnerabilities, right? Or some kind of threats or something which will cause, right? So we'll be doing this part as well, right? So this all comes in the part of testing which a DevOps guy will do, and what a testing folks will do, right? What this QA folks will do. So this is where, that is where I mentioned deploy every product for proper functionality. So what happens when this testing can be done? When you do this deployment, only when this due deployment, this person can do the regression, functional, performance, load testing, right? And also operation can guy do the basic sanity until the website is up, okay. So clear about this testing part, what a QA team will do and what
Yeah, yes.
operation team will do, okay, fine. So basic sanity is nothing but a basic things, right? Is the process running properly? Is the all the components which you deployed, okay, as part of this deployment, is this running right? Is your simple, is your Docker containing running, or is your Kubernetes pod running, or do you seeing are you seeing any errors in logs, right? Are you seeing like in the logs? Are you seeing some errors in logs, right? So etc things, right? This basic things, okay. So basic things we will do it as part of our testing, and then we will release it to the QA team, okay. What is this integration now? What is this? The word integration itself
Sir,
is nothing but,
question here. Sir,
sorry.
question here.
Yeah, 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 go ahead.
The operations team will be doing the basic sanity level of testing, right? So
Yes.
you have here the server space, CPU, memory. So
Yeah.
the will be there any tools for the operations teams, or will be they writing any code to monitor the servers health check?
Okay, see, it depends upon process to process, okay. See, any company you go, none of the company 100 none of the company will have 100% of technical tools, right? So your work will be divided, either it will be 70/30 or 50/50. So 70% of the process, 30% of the technical, or 50% of the technical, 50% of the process. So now here it depends what kind of a testing or how many servers you're going to test, right? So here again depends how you guys can automate that. Either you can automate via the shell script for this complete testing. Okay, you can do the
Okay.
complete testing with a shell script to checking how much cpu, or you can write some ansible playbooks. Okay, you can write some
Okay.
ansible playbooks for doing your validation. This is nothing but a validation, right? What is this
Mm.
sanity? Sanity is nothing but I'm doing some validations. So
Validations. Yes.
post validation, what how my application, when my let's suppose a web application came up, when I do a login logout, is it throwing me password error? Okay, is it saying
Okay.
user incorrect? Okay, when I log in, is the second page logging out for me or not? Okay, so once I log in that, okay, is my application slow, or if I'm clicking some button, okay, in some button some tool is running, I'll go in my server and check whether the process is running, or there is some error in the logs, or my server has some cpu memory shortage, right? So all these things is nothing but a basics testing, because we are called an infrastructure guy, right? We should have the proper knowledge of infrastructure. That is where we do this part, we do this part. Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
it further again depends on the operation guy. If his basic testing is very big, he can automate that, right? Simple ansible command if you run in all the servers, it will go and tell you how much space cpu memory is there. Okay, or simple playbook, or
Okay.
some or you, if you want to check the health check, right? Just in your
Mm.
shell script, mention the curl command. Okay, and give the http colon double slash, or what is the ip address colon, your
Yes.
three if you set some port number slash your health check, right? If your health check has some api, okay, health check, so that health check will tell you this, whether the code status code is 200, or it is an error status code, right? So that it will tell you. So it all depends upon the requirement, right? All depends upon the requirement of that product, how that product is being tested. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Sir.
you got point? Any still you want any clarity?
Mm.
Clear? Fine. So okay, continuous integration. What does this continuous integration mean? So continuous integration. So very first thing, okay, very first thing, the actual meaning of continuous integration is continuous process, or I would say continuously processing, right? Something you're continuously processing. Okay, continuously processing, right? But here also one more meaning is there, which we call it as like integrating. Okay, integrating one tool with other tools. Okay, one tool with other tools, or like integration is nothing but combining, right? Okay, or you can say integration is nothing but here combining. Okay, 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 so that application doesn't break. Okay, so basically what is this integration is nothing but, see, your code and build is there, you're building some code, or you're running some code, you're doing some deployment, you're doing some testing. So what you need to do is, right, this code and build should integrate with each other. Simple example, your github is there and your jenkins job is there, you do an integration between these two, so that your automation works properly. So automatically your jenkins will like jenkins will fetch your complete github code and will start running the build. That is one integration. Deployment might be an ansible tool or jenkins tool, or it can be a tomcat, right? So just integrate with your jenkins, the daily builds, and this will do the integration. This is one way of integration, right? Okay, this is one way of that integration. Okay, so integration is nothing but integrating or combining or connecting, right? Or you can say, instead of, if you want to say combining, or something called connecting with one other. Okay, so this is nothing but your integration, simple meaning, right? Don't stretch much. uh, there'll be a definitions, examples which will be available, but simple terms understand this is right, because more than that you can't speak much in the interview. So so what is integration? The word itself says something's continuously processing or something's continuously building, right? So now feedback, what is this feedback? What is this feedback? So feedback is nothing but Feedback is nothing but, there are two feedbacks again here. Okay, there are two feedbacks. So what is this feedback, right? Feedback is nothing but, uh, so what is this feedback, right? Feedback is nothing but something. When you have delivered something, you should get some comments on that, right? So feedback is something in your comments or whatever the work you have done. So what that work is nothing but your feedback, right? So sorry, or I would say like, in simple terms, let me write something, right? Feedback is a process. I would say feedback is a process for getting proper experience. Okay, experience experience from the end user. Okay, from end user. So basically feedback comes in two ways. One, it can be internal feedback, one can be customer feedback, but here the actual content feedback is based on the customer, so what this customer will do, right? What this customer will give the feedback. Okay, when you give a product in the market and they take a feedback from you, it might be anything, right? It might be anything simple. um, when you log out of any website or simply go to Zomato, right? In the end, when the delivery happens, he's asking 5 stars and it's taking the feedback. That is nothing but a continuous feedback, right? Same way when we deliver a product, so whatever the experience, okay, uh, proper user experience from end users. So we are checking what is their experience and what is the feedback from them, right? So that is nothing but a feedback. And also there is a feedback of two things: internal feedback, okay, and external feedback. So what are these two things, right? Internal, external feedback. So there are two things which we need to understand. Internal is something between the teams, right? Okay, between the teams, between the teams. Now there is a development team, right? There's a development team, or there is a QA team, there's an operations team, right? So development team, whenever we do some automation and we do the deployment and everything, when we do this basic sanity, when you do this basic sanity from operation teams, when something doesn't work properly or something you see is unstable, okay, or something works very well, so you will give a feedback to a development team. You will give a feedback to development team. Same way when a QA does a regression testing and all the regression passes, or there is some issue in the regression testing, right, or the functional testing or the load testing, they will give some feedback, right? Either that feedback can be some improvement feedback, or it can be some feedback which is going very well, right? The product is very well. So that is, there are two feedbacks, right? And this is external, is between like customer feedback, customer, or you can say end user. Okay, end user who is using that application. Okay, so these are two feedbacks, right? So this is the product when it goes live. Okay, external feedback is feedback, right? Feedback when product is live. Okay, when this product is live, and this between teams. Okay, when the when product is developing, is in development phase. Okay, development slash testing phase. Okay, so both, everyone have that importance. So this is what the feedback is, right? So there are two types of feedback. One is internal feedback, one is external feedback. One is internal, one is external feedback. Okay. Okay, then continuous, before this continuous monitoring, we have something called continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. Okay, what is this continuous improvement? So simple, right? Today someone is building one product. Okay, so today let's suppose Instagram is releasing, Instagram is also a product. Instagram, what it they're doing, they're giving Instagram 1.0. Today to tomorrow they want, after 1 year or 2 years, people will get bored of that Instagram, right? The same photo uploading, the same reels you're seeing, something different you're not seeing. So initially Instagram came with only uploading that photos, then they came with that status, right, putting that statuses, right, then they came with this reels, putting their reels and everything, right? So every day one feature is getting added, right, one feature is getting added. Then basically previously it was just individual accounts, now they are removing the business accounts, right? Like if the people of millions of users change, okay, number of users are increasing, then they give some business account and extra things, right? So what is this? This is a continuous improvement, right? Improvement is nothing but, okay, improvement is something is enhancing your product, right? Improvement is something is like, improvement is something like enhancing, right? Existing features, improving the end user or customer experience, right? So everything is interrelated. If you see this feedback is also a part of improvement, because let's suppose you get some negative feedback from a customer and he wants to improve something, right? He's facing the difficulty. That should definitely be released in the second version of that product, second version of the product. That is where this improvement comes in picture. And improvement is very important to nowadays, because if something that is not improved and the customer is facing a lot of issues, okay, the customer will not return back to you, customer will not return back to you, okay, because that warranty, that guarantee of the customer, okay, the quality of that customer is very important, right? So everything is, this is very important. So there is where improvement comes into picture, right? So you should improve, you should improve the user experience, okay, whatever the challenges users are facing, right? All this improvement should be done on the product. Okay, finally the monitoring, right? Very important phase, monitoring. Monitoring phase, so what is this monitoring phase is important for us, because, okay, it gives, it gives a proper understanding how well the product is running, okay. It can be in terms of technical, it can be in terms of in the real life as well. So simply, right, people will monitor. I told you a simple example. When a patient goes to ICU, right, when a patient goes to ICU, after the operations, what are the injections or what are the operations they do this, right, what happens, they will keep monitoring, they'll put in observation. Why? Because how the patient is behaving, right? What is the what is the what is the outcome, okay, how that, whatever the things they have done, how well that is going, right, everything, right? So so this everything, this monitoring is important. Simple example I gave in terms of technical as well, right? when you when you're selling a product to someone, there should be a proper monitoring. Well, nowadays it's become important, right? If you buy a laptop, right, and you install a HP software or HP, right, if you're buying HP laptop, automatically if you see, right, the proper feedback gathering happens whenever you open a laptop. HP assistance comes into picture, right? It asks for a feedback, and it also monitors uh, your software, okay, monitors the software, hardware, everything is getting monitored. See, time to time they will send like updates are coming to the system, how this is happening, okay. Whenever there is some virus, the HP assistance gathers that things and provides you. So behind this laptop gets tracked whenever you connect to internet, right? So there is some basic monitoring done, this basic monitoring is done as part of this continuous monitoring, okay. So same way in industry, when some product is released to a customer or some application is released to customer, so whatever the services are running in this application, that are getting monitored, because something is in live, right, something is running live, okay. Okay, when it's live in production, okay, we need to monitor that, okay. Action we need to monitor. Okay, why we need to monitor? Because because the application should be running 24 by 7, right? The application should be running 24 by 7. Okay, and it should not break. So break in a sense, it should not go down anytime. So simple, your Amazon website, have you seen Amazon website going down even for a fraction of seconds? Is there an interruption? Do you see your Amazon page hardly getting stuck nowadays? Why? Because there is a proper monitoring. They do the monitoring of each and every components, each and every product which they are selling in the Amazon, right? So the completely the payments page, whatever the checkout page, okay, whatever you add to the cart, everything is getting monitored, right? Properly monitored. Okay, and also if you see that the monitoring also has a proper improvement. What happens when you add to a cart, automatically an email will drop to your email id saying that these are the things added to your cart, please hurry up. Okay, please hurry up to go and order this product. So this all this monitoring, the feedback, the continuous improvement, everything is happening via your this life cycle, right? That is where I'm stretching, because very important, very important. This is going to be for the next uh, the career, right? The complete career, whatever you do. So that is where I'm stretching this part, because very important questions nowadays. People know, like people are moving from one technology to other technology. So people now want an understanding of the your technology. Okay, the tools and everything you learn, but no one is going to ask much on the commands, right? Because interview happens max 45 minutes or something, right? So they want more on the understanding part, right? So let's once again revise. Okay, what is DevOps, right? DevOps is between two folks. One is development, and between the operations team, right, as well as a developer and a cloud engineer. So DevOps is a process or a practice or a culture of development or operations where engineers work on a proper life cycle for building any product, with proper collaborations, with proper understanding. Okay, right from the design till the delivery of the product. Okay, history. So build and release. What was the history of this DevOps? There was some build and release, no proper collaboration with DevOps team. There were a lot of challenges, right? A lot of challenges where people were facing that. Okay, then we spoke about little bit of roles and responsibilities. Okay, now coming to the life cycle. When we spoke about life cycle, we spoke about three teams, right? Business team, product team, development team, operation team, right? So what these three teams are like? Product team is something which interacts with the client. We don't interact with the client, okay, because there is some SOWs, contracts to sign, right? So all this product team is required. Okay, where you require MBA professionals who can like make a proper presentation, explain to the customers, etc. things, right? Then there's a development team who works on this coding part, or the web development, of DB engineers, even QA developers, right? So all these things, right? Then you have operation teams where we fall, right? Where we manage the infrastructures, all the DevOps tools, the Linux operations, right? So what is this life cycle? This life cycle, or these pillars of DevOps, you have continuous planning, continuous code and build, deployment, okay, testing, okay, continuous integration, and continuous feedback. Okay, okay, improvement and monitoring. So we spoke about this planning, which is requirement gathering phase, right? How the tickets are assigned. Okay, then code and build. Proper source code management should be available for storing the code and running daily builds. Okay, because the product has to be built in a one day. The product never builds. It can be any product, a car as well, right? If they attach some feature to other feature, they need to work in a modules, right? Like they need to first fix the engine, then they will check like how that uh, in the engine there are different parts, how that one, if you attach one part, how that part will behave, right? So all these things, right? All these different things, when you pass a petrol to that engine, how the engine will, how much smoke it will produce. So every day that the building, okay, the building will happen, the testing will happen, the deployment will happen, right? So all this, the integration will happen in each and every product, right? It's not only in software world, it's in your pharmacy, it's in your electrical, it's in your automobile, right? Each and every industry is now behind this DevOps, right? Because the DevOps process become a very important, because using this process you can build a quality product, okay. And then it's not a building a quality product, it's also giving you a proper testing mechanisms. Okay, how do you do a proper testing? Then how do you do a continuous integration? How do you integrate from one product to other product? Then how do you get a feedback? How do you feedback? Very important, because without feedback you're not understanding what the customer is facing issue, okay, what kind of a experience a customer requires, so that I can increase my business, right? Continuous improvement is just also very important, because today a customer using one version may get bored, or may feel like this doesn't have much features which is not fulfilling my requirement, okay. It might be a social media, it might be your any product, like any website. So that improvement should be a part of any product, right? And finally the monitoring. So monitoring also important, because you need to monitor your product, so that you should be always with your customers 24 by 7, right? You should be always with the customers 24 by 7, so that the business keeps running, okay. That is where the monitoring wants, okay. Today it's almost 8, so I'll just stop with the introduction part, right? Fine. So any doubts, right, before I s- go to that operating system part? Any doubts anyone have, right? Anything a doubt? Am I going fast, or if you want me to go a little bit of slow or something, right? So I would like to hear from you guys, right? Anyone, any doubts? Any doubts in this process? Because this is very important, because very first thing will come, what is your understanding about DevOps? What is this DevOps? What was their previous DevOps? What are the pillars of DevOps? Okay, because don't think that this is just introduction. No, see, your one tool will fall, okay. Your continuous planning will have some tools, the continuous code and build have some tools, continuous deployment have some tools, testing have some tools. The name, the process, the life cycle, they have invented in such a way that your few of the tools fall under that. Yeah, your few of the tools fall, monitoring some tools falls, right? So some, in some life cycle the tools falls, the segregation happened between the tools, okay. Fine.
Yes, Sagar,
Ramesh.
sorry. I had one
Yeah.
doubt. We are using performance monitoring tools. Same tools are using for this operational purpose for DevOps also.
No. See, that is something. See, this regression, this functional testing and performance, how they are written. They might be written in some Java or some Java scripting, right?
No, application
Or there may be
monitoring.
some additional tool,
About the
right?
scripts.
If you're
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
we are using application monitoring tool. So that is
Okay.
also
So
monitoring
the
the
see in
server
the market
status,
there are a lot
right?
of, okay. There's a different tools, right? So it depends upon the company to company, what tools they want to use. But basically, if I say, right, this regression, this functional test, what is this functional test? If you don't use for a third party tool, this functional test, regression test, okay, all these are written in the form of the scripts, either shell scripts or JavaScript or any Java code or .NET code, okay. Because this function is something related to your application. Whenever you do a application or you deploy application, that is where done. If they have some additional tools, that is different thing, but it doesn't fall as part of operations. It doesn't fall as part of operations, okay. This is completely a QA part. Our part is completely different, okay. Our part is completely different. Operation part is completely doing a basic sanity. They don't deep dive into a product, because we are not worried about the how, because we really don't have the knowledge how the developer wrote a code, what the front end features are there and everything. We will get a basic idea, because we are more concentrating on the operation sites, like our clouds, or what are the servers we launched, what are the tools we have deployed, right? Okay, so that basic things only we will be verifying, but rest of the things need to be done by QA team, okay. If there isn't a tool related to performance or regression, which is some third party tool, right? So a DevOps engineer can explore that tool, install that, configure that, and hand over to QA person, okay. But a DevOps engineer will not do this load performance functional testing, okay. Hope that answers your question. Hello.
Yes, yes, sir. Like my point is not creating what are they doing like regression testing, functional testing. That DevOps team
Okay.
member doesn't do. I know that, but my point is
Okay.
monitoring related to application monitoring. So, like consider one
Application
API.
monitoring.
Yeah,
Application
you also
monitoring is done with this. See, there are
yes in
different
our
tools for that
operations
monitoring.
also.
Right?
Yes, yes, you mentioned that different monitoring tools, like both are same.
Yeah.
My point is that
No, no,
both
both
are.
are not same. Both are different. Both are different. It depends,
This is
like
for
if the company doesn't have that licensing cost and everything, they will club their tools here and there, right? Maybe since this your load testing or QA testing might be providing some additional features which they might be utilizing it, but in real time monitoring is completely different. Because I'll tell you one thing. Now you have a AWS, you have a AWS cloud front, right, where you do a monitoring and etc things from the cloud. But what happens, you cannot give AWS access to someone, to a external customer whom you're selling. So what happens, this monitoring tool is very important. Because here what you'll do, you will launch one monitoring tool and you will integrate this with your AWS or any other additional tools. And what this monitoring dashboard URL, you will give it to the customer. So what will happen? Customer will only check the dashboard. It doesn't have access to the database. It doesn't have access to the application, anything. So there is where security also involves, right? Because it's not only just building a product. Nowadays, security is also very important. When you give some component or some tool to some other person, you need to make sure how secured your data is there, how secure your application is there. That is the reason we never club this. Whatever these tools are there, these tools are called internal tools. You might monitor, you might monitor your application at some extent with these tools, but not completely. We have to definitely depend on this monitoring, and monitoring is very important for any DevOps process. Okay, because when you're building something for a client or customer, what happens, that client will ask you, I want to see my products how well it is running. And customer doesn't know about the proper coding, the health checks, everything he can't do manually, right? So what we do, we just simply give him one graph way. We'll tell him that this green line, if it is running properly, this green line and red line, if it comes to red line, something your application is having an issue. If it is something a green line, then it is working fine. Same as your when a patient goes to ICU, you see that machine, right? It will be in a zigzag format, up and downs. The moment it goes straight, that means there is some issue. So this is how the same thing, right? In simple terms. Okay. Still, you have a doubt?
okay, okay, sir. No, no doubt.
Okay, clear. Anyone, any other person have doubt? Because I just want to keep introduction today. I will not run much, right? Very first day, so I'll keep introduction. From tomorrow, we'll start this. What is data center? What is physical? What is virtual server, right? And before the cloud, how these things were there, then how the cloud came. Then we'll start with the basics. Tomorrow we'll definitely start some basics of Linux. Okay, we'll be running some basic Linux commands and check how we'll compare our Windows, because most of the people know how Windows works, right? We are much more habituated to Windows or Mac, but Linux we are not habituated. So we will be comparing our Windows properly with the Linux, and then understanding the basic commands, basic operation, how we create a directory, how we create a file, how we list a file. Okay, all that things, right? We'll be doing tomorrow with the basic commands. Then we'll be running little bit of advance of Linux. Okay, so we have a set of things we need to perform in Linux, right? How do you install a software, how do you create a user, how do you log into a server, how do you do transfer one file to one server to other server. There are a few basic things which I'll be running, right? So but for today it's enough, right? Just understanding is enough, because I want you to understand what is DevOps, what is the reason behind this DevOps, like build and release, and this operations, what is this life cycle, what are the different teams. Okay, what this each and every phase we do here, right? Okay, any other doubts apart from this, any other doubts anyone have before we wind up the session, right? Guys, I want your answers, right? Let's be more interactive, only then I'll come to understand what is your requirement, right? How should I teach, or what should I improve here to teach you, right? Anything related to your interview, related to your any other tool, or anything you have, feel free, like make this last 10-15 minutes more interactive so that I can fulfill your requirement. Okay. So this today is just a basic, I would say basic understanding about this life cycle and everything. Because I'll be giving you running notes. Don't worry about running the notes, okay? Because you'll not concentrate on things. Okay. I can run the PPTs, but I don't want to run because people will, because I can't share that PPTs again to you. So simple thing, no one will share the PPTs, and there'll be no much context in that PPTs. One liner thing, which will be again, uh, you'll see that PPT today, tomorrow you'll forget. But this running notes which I'm writing, which will be I'll be sharing to you guys only, so that even if you refer this, you'll get some extent of that knowledge, right? Okay, fine. Anything else, any doubts related to interviews, related to your syllabus, anything else, anything people want to discuss, feel free, right? More 5 minutes, I'll be here. Let me stop the recording. Okay.